Hello, friends. Welcome into the Pack a Day podcast. I'm your host, Andy Herman. You can follow me on Twitter at Andy Herman NFL. We are officially 1 day away from NFL football. Buccaneers, Cowboys. I absolutely cannot wait. It is going to be great to see NFL football back on the TV screen, back in a field, back in a stadium with fans. I just literally cannot wait. But I was trying to kind of pick my brain a little bit as to all right, there's not like a ton going on right now. I'm like, what the heck am I going to talk about on today's video? And then it sort of struck me, oh yeah, the Packers play this weekend. Like, we have plenty to talk about. There are actual matchups, Packers Saints, that we can talk about this upcoming weekend. Like, there is real legitimate football. So let's dive in. Let's get into it. I want to talk about the 5 matchups that I'm most looking forward to watching this upcoming weekend as the Packers take on the Saints, and really 5 matchups that I think ultimately could decide the game this upcoming weekend. So let's get to it. Let's start right away. I want to start with the edge rushers. Hopefully Zadarius Smith. It certainly seems like he's hopefully trending in the right direction, but along with Preston Smith and Rashawn Gary, I want to see how they match up on the edge with Teron Armstead and Ryan Ramczyk. Make no mistake about it, this is the best tackle tandem in the NFL. They are both tremendous football players. They can pass protect, they can run block. They make a lot of what happens on the Saints offense happen because of their abilities on the outside to not only protect the quarterback, but also to provide running lanes for the running backs, especially Alvin Kamara. So just how good and how well can Preston Smith, again, hopefully Zadarius Smith and Rashawn Gary, hold up against those 2 phenomenal offensive tackles? And more importantly than that, hopefully not just hold up against the 2 of them, but can they actually get pressure on Jameis Winston? Can they set the edge against Alvin Kamara, force everything back inside to Kenny Clark and back to the linebackers? I legitimately believe that this is going to be one of the really huge keys to this game. And of course, if for some reason Zadarius Smith isn't able to play, or if he's on a snap count, or if he's not himself, that makes things a lot harder for Preston Smith and Rashawn Gary to handle that load. And, potentially guys like Jonathan Garvin or Chauncey Rivers to step up and play a role within this defense as well. And, as far as why this is so important, Jameis Winston is a quarterback who's going to throw you some footballs if you can get pressure on him. He's not one that's going to just, sit and take hits and hold on. Like, he will give you opportunities to make plays on the ball. And Darnell Savage and Jair Alexander and Adrian Amos and Kevin King and Chandon Sullivan and this defense will be the beneficiary if, in fact, Gary and Smith can get pressure against Ryan Ramczyk and Teron Armstead. And on the flip side, if all of a sudden Jameis Winston has time to throw, there's a reason he was the number 1 overall pick. Is he, going to be the greatest quarterback of all time? No, but he can still absolutely beat you with his arm. He's got tremendous arm talent. He knows how to, to throw receivers open when he needs to. This is a very good quarterback. Now, he's going, like I said, he's going to give you some opportunities to take away the football, and that's what you have to take advantage of. But if you don't pressure him, those opportunities are fewer and far between, and you may not get as many opportunities, or you may not get those turnovers, and that could be a massive swing in this game. On the flip side, if Preston and Zadarius and Rashawn Gary can consistently get to the quarterback, can force him to get rid of the ball before he wants to, he will get rid of the ball. He will throw some hero balls. He will give you opportunities to take away the ball. And I think Green Bay will do that. And I think that could ultimately be the difference in this game. So massive matchup here. Of course, a lot of expectations surrounding Zadarius Preston and Rashawn Gary, even with Zadarius Smith potentially coming off a little bit of an injury here. This is a matchup that Green Bay needs to have some level of success with. I'm not saying that Preston and Z and Gary need to go out and dominate this game and completely take it over, but if they're not getting pressure on the quarterback and it's up to Kenny Clark and Kingsley Keke and the rest of that defensive line to get the pressure, I think that becomes a major issue, and that becomes a game that the Saints can put up points and can ultimately win because they're allowing Jameis Winston time. They're allowing those receivers who are not super experienced, who are not super adept at getting separation. It allows them more time to get that separation, and again, Jameis Winston to start getting into a rhythm. That's a recipe for failure if you're the Packers. So I really do believe that those edge rushers against the Saints offensive tackles is going to be one of the really huge keys to this upcoming game. Number 2 is Alvin Kamara. I'm going to say versus like the Packers linebackers, whether that's Chris Barnes or Devonte Campbell, but I think it's just the Packers defense in general, right? The last time these two teams played, which was early last season, Alvin Kamara went off for 197 yards, 2 touchdowns, including 139 receiving yards. This is a running back / weapon who can hurt you in a variety of different ways. This is not just a run between the tackles guy. This is not just a run outside guy. This is not just a catch the ball for getting checkdowns from the quarterback. This is a player who can do just about everything you want a running back to do, a weapon to do in that backfield position. Again, running inside, running outside the tackles, checkdowns, routes down the field. He can win, and he is an absolute weapon. And last year, he abused the Packers linebackers and secondary and anyone else who was in the vicinity of Alvin Kamara. So yes, this should go without saying. When you start looking at a matchup, whether it's offense versus defense, defense versus offense, what you start looking at is and where I try to bring my mind is, all right, if I'm the defensive coordinator for the Packers, what am I game planning for? And frankly, I'm game planning for Alvin Kamara. Michael Thomas is out. Jared Cook is gone. Marquez, Callaway and Adam Troutman and, some of those type of players, they could cause some problems here and there. Taysom Hill, you have to be a little bit prepared for and what he could bring to the table when he's in the game. But there's nobody that Joe Barry is losing sleep over outside Alvin Kamara. He is it. If you can control Alvin Kamara and Kamara ends the game with, under 50 yards in all-purpose yardage, or you at least hold him to a, 3.8 yards per carry or something like that, you feel really good about that result. So I think it's paramount that the Packers are aware of Alvin Kamara, where he is at all times, and really make sure to make him a focal point of this game plan and making sure that they're taking him away. Now, of course, easier said than done. And I think that's why, especially the Packers linebackers, Chris Barnes, Devonte Campbell, even Adrian Amos playing some of that nickel dime linebacker position are so paramount to the success of stopping Alvin Kamara and making this a much more palatable offense to go against. This isn't the same New Orleans Saints that's just chock full of receivers and Drew Brees at quarterback and Kamara at running back and Jared Cook at tight end. They don't have that level of depth. Now, I do think they have some weapons that can hurt them still, even outside of Alvin Kamara. But I think if you're Joe Barry, the idea has to be, we're going to take Alvin Kamara away. And if you still put up, 30 plus points and end up winning the game after we stopped Alvin Kamara, we'll tip our cap. We'll, good job, good effort. We'll tip our cap to you. But if all of a sudden Alvin Kamara goes off for another 200-yard game and a couple touchdowns and you lose because of that, you're going to feel like the jerk because you didn't stop the number one weapon that they had on their team, and you had to know that the Saints were going to do everything in their power to get him involved. So that's matchup number 2 that I'm looking at. Number 3 is Marcus Davenport versus both Billy Turner and Elgton Jenkins. Now, Davenport a lot of the times is right defensive end, which would lead me to believe he goes up a little bit more against Elgton Jenkins. However, I think if you're the Saints, you would be unwise to not try to get Marcus Davenport matched up against Billy Turner a little bit more. Davenport, there's a reason why the Saints traded their late round pick in the first round plus a future first round pick to the Packers to be able to move up and trade Marcus Davenport. He is an athletic freak. He has a very quick first step. He is playing stronger than ever, and he has the ability to make games a nightmare for opposing offensive tackles. And we're going to find out really quick, if the hyperbole about, maybe it's not hyperbole, that's the hope, of course, but the hype for Elgton Jenkins is real, or if Marcus Davenport is giving him all he can handle. And I think we also are going to see if they, again, start targeting Billy Turner a little bit more and saying, hey, we think we can win on the outside against Billy Turner. Marcus Davenport has the skill set to win against Billy Turner. So he is a player that has looked really good, for the last couple seasons, but has looked great this offseason. And he has the ability to wreck a game at any moment's notice. And again, turnover is always going to play a huge part. And if the Packers are unable to control him, and if Billy Turner or Elgton Jenkins has a really tough time with him, that probably means that you need to keep in a tight end or a running back to help out. And that completely changes the course of your offense as well. So I think it's a really big game for these offensive tackles. Elgton Jenkins may be playing slightly out of place, but again, he seems to have no issue playing out at left tackle. Billy Turner, regaining his spot at right tackle. We're going to find out very quickly just what those two are, if they're up to par with stopping a player like Marcus Davenport this upcoming Sunday. Number 4, very similar, as veteran Cameron Jordan versus the interior of the offensive line, specifically the two rookies, Royce Newman and Josh Myers. Now, Cameron Jordan will absolutely play some on the outside as well, but if I'm Dennis Allen in this Saints defense, there is zero chance that I'm not taking a look immediately at Cam Jordan and saying, hey, go up against these two rookies and make their day a living you-know-what. And Cameron Jordan has the ability to be a pain in the butt against literally every team in the league. But now you have a team that's starting two rookies, and Cam Jordan knows every trick in the book. He knows absolutely every way to get to the quarterback. He is strong. He is physical. He is smart. He is quick first step. Like he's got the whole bag, right? Like he can do just about everything. Royce Newman, Josh Myers, these guys are starting in their first games. First, third, and long, the last thing you want to see is Cam Jordan across from you, right? So I think that matchup and how those two rookies, again, assuming Royce Newman and Josh Myers are the starters, it certainly would seem that way. But assuming that's the case, how those rookies hold up against a player like Cam Jordan could go a long way in this matchup, but also go a long way if they win that matchup and really making the offense and have confidence in them and them really have confidence in themselves. So that's definitely a matchup that you want those two to win and hopefully carry over that momentum for the remainder of the season. And then last but not least is Marshawn Lattimore versus Davonte Adams. Now, I can't say for sure that Lattimore will travel with Adams. It'll kind of be a wait and see a little bit to see what their game plan is. But undoubtedly, we're going to see at some point in this game, Marshawn Lattimore versus Davonte Adams. And this is just a very, very fun matchup. Marshawn Lattimore, tall corner who has great agility, who can stick with almost any wide receiver versus Davonte Adams, who can make any cornerback look silly, has release game second absolutely to none, great with contested catches, great with route running. He's a savant at the position, and he gets to go up ideally and likely, or maybe not ideally, but ideally as a fan, to see these two go up against each other. You're likely going to see these two match up, and it should be a glorious matchup, literally. Like, I will absolutely love going back and watching the tape of any snaps Davonte Adams versus Marshawn Lattimore because, again, Adams is a savant at his position. Lattimore is one of the best at corners. And just seeing those two epic players match up in a game like this, I think, like, screw importance, right? It's just literally going to be fun to watch those two go at it. I hope they're matched up against each other for the great majority of the game because I think it's going to be very entertaining and very fun to see how both of those players respond to having one of the best players at their, at the position against them for a full game like that. So absolutely a matchup I cannot wait to watch. So 5 matchups that I am dying to see in this game. The edge rushers against the Saints offensive tackles. Again, Ryan Ramczyk, Teron Armstead. Alvin Kamara against the Packers defense, specifically the linebackers. Marcus Davenport versus Billy Turner and Elton Jenkins. Cam Jordan against the rookies on the interior of the offensive line. And again, Marshawn Lattimore versus Davonte Adams. That's going to do it for me today. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll be right back here tomorrow with an all-new episode. But until next time, and as always, go Pack Go.